What's going on, guys? Real quick before we dive into the daily update, I want to let you all know that I'm going to be doing a video over the next day or so recapping on the world tour that I took back in January and February. So for those of you out there who have any photos or videos that you'd like me to put inside the video, please go down into the description. There's a Google form link for you guys, and I'd love to take your photos and videos and put them in there and talk about all the memories we had on the trip. All right? So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for your patience, and let's dive into the update. What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is March 16th of 2018. Well, folks, it's time for a daily update here on the DataDash channel, and today we have a lot of interesting things to discuss. First and foremost, as always, though, we'll be spending some time looking at market valuations, as well as doing some technical analysis on the market leaders. But outside of this as well, we have some really interesting headlines to dive into. On the side of innovation, Lightning Labs coming out with the first mainnet release for the Lightning Network with a bunch of interesting features that we're going to dive into here in the video. But outside of that as well, we have Peter Thiel, a renowned venture capitalist and billionaire investor in Silicon Valley, continuing to put out more and more positive statements on Bitcoin and his current take on how it could be digital gold. And last but not least, we're going to be spending some time talking about the SEC continuing its talks on crackdowns for ICOs. So we've got a lot of interesting things to talk about, guys. Let's not wait off any longer and jump right into it. So first and foremost, we can see that the general trend of crypto markets right now, today at least, are positive. This is definitely a nice sight to see, especially after all of the recent sell-off we've seen in the markets. And as we can definitely tell, taking a closer look here over the past 3 months, we've definitely continued downwards, not down to the lows in the fearful side of early February. However, we are definitely at a lower level than we were expecting. Again, we were hoping we could get back up to the $500 billion level about a week ago, but with the continued MT Gox selling as well as another day or two of capitulation in the market, we've obviously seen that we're taking down to lower levels. Now, again, I'm going to be really kind of signaling where I think markets are going over the next few minutes here as we dive into a lot of the leaders like Bitcoin and what I'm looking out for in the market. But again, I'm keeping pretty neutral here because we are on the lows, guys, and I think we're on the better side of things in regards to getting bullish and getting a little bit greedy because we're on that lower end. That's where you want to get greedy and start considering buying. But at the same time, we want to make sure we're not buying too early or we're not panicking into something or FOMOing. So again, just keep a consistent mindset on it, guys, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But in the sense of market dominance, again, Bitcoin holding strong here, going towards our estimation in the sense of market dominance for around 45 to 50%. We're currently sitting at 42.6%. So because of that, I still think we're on the trend that Bitcoin's going to be gaining some more market dominance, even if that means market valuation going down in general for cryptos. Most of it will be in the altcoin space. But we're getting to the point where we can start getting a little bit more greedy, start looking for those altcoin positions that could do very well on a next big run-up that we could possibly see in the coming month or so. Alrighty, so talking about Bitcoin here, first and foremost, this is something that I've gotten a lot of questions about. Some people have been sharing their opinions with me, and again, I love to hear feedback from anyone out there in the community, guys, and I know everyone has different controversial opinions on it. But in regards to Bitcoin, as you all probably know, we corrected down below the 200-day. This is the red line on the chart, and it is a serious indicator for support. As you can see, after dropping right below it, we rebounded quickly back up and found a nice set level of consistent support here in early February that led us to rebounding all the way up back close to around $11,000 to $12,000 for Bitcoin. Well, nowadays, we're sitting down below the 200-day. We've corrected down below it, and many people have been asking me as to whether or not we're going to get back above it or if we're going to go down to a lower level. Now, I was hoping that originally, before we corrected through, that we would hold on the 200-day. It made sense technically. But with the fear of the G20 summit or whatever catalyst led to the sell-off on that we got here on the 14th of March, it appears that we are now down below the price range and looking to possibly head down more towards the lower level at 6,000 in the worst case scenario, in my opinion. But again, I don't want to take any serious position here. We've also got some matching buy-side volume that's coming in and showing some support around this previous level back here in February around 8,000. So long as we hold 8,000, I think we might have a chance of being able to fight here, seeing Bitcoin possibly try to retrace back up like it did back here in early February, back to the 200-day. But it's going to be a matter of whether or not it can close up above that 200-day. I'm not going to signal confidence on Bitcoin until we get back up above that 200-day. If we roll over here and go back below and close below 8,000, I think it's a no-brainer that we're probably going down to 6,000. So again, at this level, I'm not buying at the same time. I'm not selling, guys. I'll add a position if it goes up above the 200-day to signal confidence that it's ready to go higher, or if it comes back down below in the fearful setting of 6,000. That's where I'm going to feel most confident on Bitcoin, in those two areas. Right now, I'm staying kind of in a neutral twilight zone. Market's been moving generally sideways, and because of that, I'm not going to panic one way or the other. So, taking a look at Ethereum here, again, still going towards where we think we've been talking about here on the channel, guys. I think it's still going to 6,800,000 Satoshis to find support, not only on that previous price level over here, but a lot that as well down to the 200-day. We'll have to see if it can hold there, but it looks like it's confidently heading there, guys. Again, we look towards previous price history, and it can tell us a lot, and we're getting very close to our target that we talked about for the past few weeks. XRP, BTC, going to go through quick on this, guys. Again, repeating history over and over again. Can't wait till it reaches that 200-day. We'll see what happens, but not eager to buy this one whatsoever. Same with Bitcoin Cash. Again, trying to get back above that wedge, but you can just tell that that wedge was forming for months, and it is holding as a way down on the price action right here. So it's a no-go on Litecoin for me. We are, interestingly enough, seeing Litecoin showing some resilience here and retesting the resistance. Now, we haven't gotten a close above the red line that I have drawn here. It's a little bit inconsistent with how I have it drawn here. It's not specifically, there's no always consistent highs. Some people would say probably it's up here at 2,200,000 Satoshis that we see resistance. But generally speaking, in this price range, this is the danger zone for me, 2 million Satoshis. I don't touch Litecoin up here. And because of that, I want to wait to see if there's a catalyst. There's been, again, some speculation since the last daily update I talked about, where Charlie Lee's been tweeting and everyone's been saying, oh, check it out, Nick, he's got something big planned. So it might be the catalyst to push this up in its Bitcoin comparative to higher levels and get past this historical resistance. For now, though, I'm not making any serious trades here. I think it's speculation at that point. But nonetheless, Litecoin is holding relatively strong comparative to other altcoins. Got to give it that. All right, so instead of looking through all the major market leaders we usually do, I'm going to go ahead and dive into some that I've gotten some requests for. I know some people have been asking about XMR, BTC, Monero. Guys, again, Monero is going through a general flush right now. It's gone through this historically. Again, same case as Litecoin. Usually when you're up in this range, you don't buy into all-time highs, which have obviously historically been rising up over time. But what I'm waiting for is to generally get down into this Fibonacci range, because my risk to reward is much better if I wait for it. And Monero right now generally doesn't seem like it has anything that's going to push it much higher from where it is now. There's a reason why this is dropping off, because a lot of the news that was propping it up has now gone to the past. It's over. So because of that, I'm definitely taking a short-term bearish case on Monero. I've also gotten asked about Lumens, so we'll go ahead and take a look at Lumens here on Bittrex. And my whole case with Lumens, as well as a lot of other big players out there that had massive run-ups back in December and January, is that they've got some time to roll over. This is the same case with Ripple, guys. As we can see here back in the past, Lumens has had previous price history where in its Satoshi markings, it went all the way up to almost practically 10 times its valuation and came right back down, if not lower, from when it had its major rally. I have no doubt that Lumens are probably going to come back down to the 1,500 to 1,000 Satoshi range. So we've got a while on this, guys. So again, I don't really cover this one much, but I know many people were asking about it. All right, we'll go ahead here, take a look at Cardano here. Again, continuing to roll down. We'll see if it can hold at 2,000, guys. Nothing's really changing here. No crazy TA we can do. An icon as well. ICX, BTC. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Again, generally just holding around the same range it was at a few days ago. We'll see if it can double bottom here and build support, or if it rolls back over. Again, the lower this goes, the more of an opportunity that it provides for a nice swing on the next bull run. I think Icon's one of the cheapest protocols right now. All right, so getting out of the trading side of things, guys, let's go ahead and talk about some real fundamentals, some real tech. There's been a lot of kind of fear in the market because there's been a drop in the price of Bitcoin, and many people have been saying, oh, crypto's over, oh, this whole market and this technology is ending. Well, for those of you out there who keep up with the innovation, you know that this market is not ending. It is merely just a short-term correction, and the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of innovation going on from some really great people. Now, I know a lot of people have different opinions on Lightning, but I want you all to keep your mind open here, because as much as I've been a critic of Lightning Network in some regards, or at least I've had some concerns, there's been some really interesting stuff that have come out in this exciting new release. So bear with me here. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the tech here. And I'll try to kind of pull out some of the highlights here as I scroll down the page. So first and foremost, I want to spend some time talking about some of the things that I really liked. If we go down here beyond the beta, I'll go back up to here in a minute. I wanted to talk about a few things that caught me. So first and foremost, the major focus of this update, for those of you who don't know, is that it's still for developers mainly, people who are trying to kind of toy with the Lightning Network and build different types of products and services for average users to use the Lightning Network. Again, it's still kind of in its bare bone phase, but at least it's working and they have a lot of interesting features. So for example, this is one that really caught my eye here, Atomic Multipath Payments. Now this has been in talks for a while as an improvement protocol for Bitcoin. And what it basically can do is it can break up larger transactions and break it up into smaller ones and divert them over the Lightning Network, still bringing it to the same individual at the end. So it still works like the same transaction from peer-to-peer over the Lightning Network. However, what's really interesting about this is that there's actually some privacy implementations to this. Not knowing exactly, how much an individual is sending to another over the Lightning Network because it's broken up into multiple fragmented transactions. So I really like the concept of this, as well as many of the other features. They're already working towards building desktop and mobile applications for the Lightning Network. I really cannot wait to start seeing the interface side come out to this, because again, it's very back end right now. But they've also got things such as the autopilot and mission control. The mission control basically helps with routing. So many people have been talking about fears of centralization in Lightning Network. They've been always worried about, as we can see sometimes, for example, many of the critics before Lightning really even went on testnet, and now that we've seen it on testnet and mainnet, we've started to see that the nodes in the network between payment channels have a lot of payment channels diverting into them, almost acting as a hub, like a centralized hub, almost kind of like a bank that might have KYC requirements or track transactions. Well, in this case, with mission control, it can help guide the routing on the Lightning Network. So you can tailor your routing, and this is something that they've been pushing as a solution. Not only are they going to have onion routing and all these different features to help build privacy in it, but also allowing you to set the standards you want. Do you want the cheapest transactions possible? You really couldn't care about centralization in the Lightning Network. Or do you want transactions off-chain on the Lightning Network that are as distributed and decentralized as possible, and where there's no chance of centralization? So again, really big feature, but along with that as well, cross-chain atomic swaps. That's right, folks. Atomic swaps are here with compatible currencies such as Litecoin. You can do atomic swaps over the Lightning Network. This is really exciting stuff, guys. We have a lot of interesting stuff coming out of this update. And again, you can come up here as well, see some of the extra features. They're now only having SegWit support as of now, as well as a smart pathfinding. This kind of goes back again to what we were talking about, the routing in regards to the Lightning Network, as well as improved fault tolerance, so in the sense of security and consensus on the network. So it's really, really interesting stuff, guys. So I'm going to go ahead, if you guys want, I'm going to leave this link down below for you if you guys want to dive into it. If you have any questions, or maybe there's a feature or two that I didn't mention in here, you can go ahead and dive into it. But guys, it's exciting stuff. It's nice to see that at least the Lightning Network, and as someone who's a critic of the Lightning Network, at least worried about it in some regards. I can't be a critic too far because I'm not a developer myself, and I could not build anything better than what they're doing. But I want to say that I'm very, very impressed and thankful that the Lightning Labs team, as well as other people working in the space, are not only testing this, but continuing to listen to the community, listening to the worries of taking on some kind of new technology like this, and building something that really works in the minds of those in the cryptographic community. So it's really exciting stuff. So next up, talking on the kind of business side of things and the speculative side, Peter Thiel, one of my favorite entrepreneurs personally. I've died to meet the man. He's literally one of my favorite, kind of figureheads in Silicon Valley, as someone who's really gotten interested in entrepreneurship and the whole tech space over the past decade. Peter Thiel coming out and saying that he's long Bitcoin, like he's been for quite some time, and talking about how it could be the form of digital gold. Now, this has been a term that's been tossed around for a long time, but there's some really interesting quotations that are inside the documentary, inside the document that we have here in the article. And he right now has a pretty confident statement in the sense that he doesn't see Bitcoin as a good solution for payments. Now, this is very important to hear from Peter Thiel because he was one of the co-founders of PayPal, one of the biggest payment solutions companies on the planet, and one of the big tech giants back from the dot-com era that actually turned out succeeding over the long term. Excuse me, just burped there. But Peter Thiel, though, is a wonderful entrepreneur nonetheless, and because he's saying something like this, it shows that he has right now a current lack in the scalability and the feasibility and ease of use of cryptocurrencies as a payment solution. However, he does feel like this almost acts like a system of bars of gold, some kind of digital gold that can act as a store of value, hedging against everything in the world falling apart. It's an interesting concept. So kind of the doomsday kind of investment that many people see gold or silver being. It's the equivalent of that in the digital era, that Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies that aren't backed by any centralized government or bank simply can stand on its own. So long as everyone can have an internet connection, so long as everyone has powered devices, we can make these transactions and show a showcase and a store of value. So really interesting stuff. I'll go ahead and leave this link down below. But though he is long Bitcoin, I think this is a really important thing to state. He is neutral to skeptical of everything else in the space. And this probably attests to the fact that he's probably worried a little bit about all of the ICOs and all of the next Bitcoins that are getting released every single day that claim to be a better solution, when in reality, most are forked off currencies or just simply ERC20 tokens without a real platform or piece of technology. So I have no doubt. I mean, again, it's why a lot of people just say hodl Bitcoin, and go along Bitcoin, only hold the king. And many people have done great doing that. But at the same time, I do believe there is opportunity out there. You've just got to, much like in Silicon Valley, like I know Thiel and many other people do as well, in the sense of venture capital, invest and diversify into real solid projects that have potential and practicality added to them. But in this space, it is hard to find that because there's so many opportunists coming in just trying to launch an ICO for every damn application you could put on the blockchain. So yeah, it's definitely become the new buzzword, I guess, in that sense. Speaking about ICOs, the SEC has already stated that it has dozens of crypto investigations underway, most of which are in the scheme of raising funds for ICOs. And it's no surprise that they're doing this, guys. This has been in talks for quite some time, but it's good to see quotations and transparency coming out from the SEC. And again, it attests to what I've been talking about, guys, in regards to every single branch of things. Paying taxes, following regulations and laws, guys. The SEC and regulatory bodies of the U.S. government, as well as other governments around the world, are starting to investigate this whole space. They can't ignore it for much longer, so long as crypto stays the position that it's at, which is a really new, exciting industry. There's really not much for these financial kind of branches of governments to focus on outside of crypto because there's so much going on. They can't ignore it. And where most other industries are running quite fine and quite standard comparative to crypto, which is so new and innovative. So here's the big quote: "We are very active, and I would just expect to see more and more," she told the conference. So this is one of the big quotations here. It's clear that they're going through and doing more in regards to trying to regulate this market. I think you're seeing it in South Korea, guys. And I think that once regulatory bodies are established in the crypto space, you have to understand, again, guys, how ICOs, as much as they are a wonderful tool for raising capital, a new ushered era of freedom of investing for an average retail investor, whereas in most cases, I couldn't invest in a startup 10 years ago, or even today in some cases, unless I'm using one of many niche startups out there that allow me to do it. In this case, with ICOs, anyone can partake in it so long as you can, get in first. And it's a wonderful system. I think, however, though, we have to understand and not live in a fantasy land, that this is not like a peer-to-peer digital currency like Bitcoin. These are tokens, and some of them act as securities. Even if they're utility tokens, these utility tokens or different types of ICOs are raising tens of millions of dollars, guys. And to think that it's not going to be under some scrutiny or regulation, especially with all the scams such as BitConnect coming into the case, and things like OneCoin that have been multi-hundred million dollar, if not billion-dollar criminal activities and ways to raise capital that have screwed over so many people, it's understandable that government bodies are going to do something about it. So I'd like to hear what you all think down below in the description or in the comments, what you all think about the SEC as well as other governmental bodies. Do you think they're going to continue to crack down? Do you think it's going to get to an extent where they freeze ICOs, or are they going to start to not only understand ICOs better and maybe establish some regulation, but open the floodgates to U.S. investors to get into more of these investment opportunities rather than continuing to close it off and make it more difficult? Love to hear what you guys think down in the comments down below. But until the next video, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.